What if winning isn't about being first, loudest, or most admired in the moment, but about still being standing when everyone else is burned out? What if the real competition isn't today's headline, but tomorrow's relevance? Kim Kardashian doesn't win by dominating single moments. She wins by surviving cycles. And that's why she always wins the long game. The long game requires a mindset most people never develop. It means resisting the urge to react immediately. It means accepting short-term misunderstanding in exchange for long-term positioning. Kim understood early that public opinion is unstable, but memory is selective. People forget outrage. They remember presence. So instead of chasing approval, she optimized for continuity. Have you ever noticed how many public figures win attention fast but disappear just as quickly? One of the main reasons Kim wins long-term is emotional discipline. She rarely allows her internal state to become public spectacle. Emotional restraint isn't coldness, it's insulation. When you don't leak panic, anger, or desperation, you deny others the leverage to destabilize you. Many careers collapse not because of external attacks, but because of internal overreactions. Kim doesn't hand out that weakness. Another key factor is patience with timing. Kim doesn't rush to prove herself. She lets doubt exist. She lets criticism mature and exhaust itself. While others spend energy defending their legitimacy, she spends energy building infrastructure. By the time the conversation shifts from should she be taken seriously to she's unavoidable, the work is already done. Legitimacy arrives quietly when resistance runs out. She also understands that the long game requires consistency over intensity. Intensity creates spikes. Consistency creates foundations. Kim shows up in a controlled, predictable way. Her image evolves, but it never fractures. That stability trains audiences to expect her presence as part of the cultural environment, rather than as a passing phenomenon. People stop asking if she belongs. They assume she does. Winning the long game also means separating identity from outcomes. Kim is not emotionally defined by a single business, trend, or public role. If one venture slows, another grows. If one narrative fades, another takes its place. This modular identity prevents collapse. Many people tie their entire sense of worth to one lane. When that lane closes, everything collapses with it. Kim never plays that fragile game. Another reason she always wins is her relationship with controversy. She doesn't treat controversy as a battle to be won. She treats it as weather. It passes whether you fight it or not. By refusing to escalate emotionally, she shortens its lifespan. Time works in her favor because she doesn't sabotage it with panic. Those who fight every storm rarely survive many seasons. Her long-game thinking also shows up in how she approaches credibility. She doesn't demand respect. She accumulates it slowly. Respect gained slowly is harder to revoke. She allows institutions, audiences, and industries to adjust to her presence at their own pace. That patience turns resistance into acceptance without confrontation. Acceptance without confrontation is durable. Kim also understands that the long game is about systems, not moments. Moments are fragile. Systems regenerate. She built ecosystems where attention feeds businesses and businesses reinforce relevance. This circular structure means she doesn't rely on constant reinvention to survive. Reinvention is expensive. Alignment is efficient. Efficiency wins over time. Another subtle reason she wins long-term is emotional neutrality. Kim rarely frames herself as a hero or a victim. She doesn't ask to be defended. She doesn't demand admiration. This neutrality prevents polarization from destroying her relevance. People who build careers on moral extremes burn fast. Neutral figures endure because they remain adaptable. Midway through this reflection, pause and think honestly. How often do you sacrifice long-term positioning just to feel understood right now? And what would change if you allowed yourself to be misunderstood temporarily in service of something lasting? If this way of thinking resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments. Long-term conversations matter more than short-term noise. Another reason Kim wins the long game is her understanding of cultural memory. Culture doesn't remember effort. It remembers outcomes. It remembers who stayed. By remaining present across decades, she became part of the timeline itself. Once someone becomes embedded in a cultural era, removing them feels unnatural. Longevity turns presence into legitimacy. She also wins because she never frames change as apology. When she evolves, she doesn't explain why. She doesn't justify growth. She moves forward as if growth is assumed. This trains audiences to accept evolution as normal rather than suspicious. Explanation invites debate. Movement closes it. Over time, this habit eliminates resistance. Her relationship with ambition is another long-game advantage. Kim doesn't romanticize struggle, but she doesn't hide effort either. She normalizes work without dramatizing it. This steadiness avoids burnout cycles that destroy many careers built on constant emotional extremes. Sustainability always beats spectacle in the long run. Even her visibility is managed long-term. She allows herself to be everywhere, then nowhere, then everywhere again. This rhythm prevents fatigue. Fatigue is the silent killer of relevance. By building absence into her strategy, she preserves demand. Demand preserved over time becomes power. What's most important is that Kim never confuses attention with direction. Attention is reactive. Direction is chosen. She uses attention as fuel, not as a compass. That's why public opinion doesn't steer her path. It reacts to it. People who let attention dictate their moves eventually lose both attention and control. So why does Kim Kardashian always win the long game? Because she doesn't fight for moments. She builds for decades. She values emotional control over validation, systems over applause, patience over proof, and endurance over dominance. Before you leave, ask yourself one final question. Where in your own life are you trying to win immediately instead of positioning yourself to still be standing later? And what would it look like to play the long game instead? If this perspective challenged the way you think about success, power, and timing, leave a comment with your thoughts and subscribe for more deep dives like this. The long game isn't glamorous, but it's the only one that lasts.